Okay. Um, can you? I would start by asking if you've watched these typing sessions before.
Uh, I think I only really watched one, like a complete one, where you were typing Eliana,
Okay.
because she's kind of me to watch it. But I saw a clip of some of your video. Yeah, very interested.
Okay. Cool. Um, then why don't I sort of start where I usually start and ask you to articulate a sequence of small events that you did prior to meeting here this afternoon. So, like, I got up, I had toast for breakfast, I walked the dog, that kind of shit.
Okay, yeah. Well, I got up, went to pick up the car, like take the car to the tire shop to drop it off there, to get new tire, and then I was waiting for Ariana to show up. She's a little slow. Show up so I can take one of the new tire out of the SUV, and then get on our way, and then drop her off at one of her meetings to get some milk tea. Then I pick up some lunch, drove back home, just sat there chilling, wait till she texted me, went to pick her up. So we're not late to this meeting. I guess we are late, like 5 minutes. So we got back on time, and here we are.
Cool. Well, the mom I was mentioning before we started this was happy you were late 5 minutes because
Oh, wow.
I was having my usual trouble communicating with her. Okay, so because we just see things so differently. I don't know why she keeps calling me for advice. She never takes it. Uh, okay, so can you tell me? Okay, a scenario here. You've got a a woman, and you're standing on the shore of the beach, and you see a woman out in the ocean, and she's got a sailboat, but instead of being in the sailboat and sailing towards the shore, this boat looks fine, pristine condition. She's out in front of it, pulling it to the shore with her hand, and swimming with one arm, trying to pull it to the shore. Can you give me possible reasons why this might be the case?
Uh, the boat broke down. She's trying to get the boat back on shore. On land, I guess. It's just one reason, or you need
No,
more
as
reasons?
many reasons as you can come up with.
She probably just saw that. She just saw a boat there. She didn't see anyone. She's trying to take it. Or she just murdered someone and she doesn't know how to drive the boat back or sail it back. So she's trying to find a way to get out. I don't know. Maybe it's not windy that day. I don't know.
The doldrums. She's stuck in the doldrums.
uh,
That's a
yeah.
word for when there's no wind at sea.
Okay. Yeah. I'm guessing that's the only way to sail the boat. I don't know if it has not a power. Yeah. Not familiar with
Anything
sail.
else? That's pretty good. You come up with quite a few already. Anything else you got?
She's probably trying to like dock the boat too. Sounds like she maybe doesn't have any rope or anything.
Maybe she's doing exercises to strengthen her swimming arm.
Oh, that's possibly, yeah, one of the cases.
Okay.
Or someone probably just off the boat to try to like mess with her.
Or maybe
Maybe.
she's thinking about buying the boat, but she never really feels
Yeah.
like she knows whether a boat is the one she wants until she's pulled
Yeah.
it with her own hand through the water.
Yeah.
That could be the case. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a time that you learned a lesson, such as uh, better, like, what's it? A lesson such as, well, this kind of a story. Like, one time when I was like 14 or something, I put my cereal bowl in the sink and it had milk and cereal in it, and I didn't rinse it out. My dad yelled at me, and ever since then I've not done that again. Can you tell me like a lesson, an event that taught you a lesson like that?
Uh, Yeah, I can think of some. Well, probably just a recent one. Like, okay, so I've been like parking the car kind of like at a hilly, like a slope, a lot in the driveway a little bit. Then each time I got back in the car and just kind of turn it on and then put on, it's automatic car, and then so put it on reverse or drive, and then like I can hear the transmission like making a big sound, like it's really hard to shift the gear initially. Then I was just like, oh, okay, maybe it's rolling back or doing something, causing like some type of force on the transmission. Then like later on, I realized like, oh, okay, you have to when you park the car, you have to first put it in use the emergency brake first before you put it into park. That way, it locks the car down. It doesn't roll. Make it easy on the transmission. The next time you turn it back on the car, it kind of works. So now I always press on the emergency brake when I park. Then I shift it to park on the gear.
So how long did it take you to change to figure that out?
After a few times, I thought it was just my car, and I just kind of like Googled it a little bit and see. And it's a little hard to find a answer on that. I don't think a lot of people notice that there's a wrong way to doing it, I guess.
Okay. Do you consider yourself, or would others describe you as a procrastinator?
Definitely, because I have ADD, ADHD, so I'm kind of taking Adderall. In fact, I just popped one out
I did too. I
just
just
so
had
I
one
can
right before
answer
this. I
some of
did.
your questions. Yeah, because I feel like, oh, hey, if I don't take one, I won't be able to focus on this meeting. Won't be able to answer your question. I don't want to look dumb.
Yeah, I was feeling tired, and I thought, well, I better perk up a little bit here, um, be, because I I don't know. I'm just in that spot where I'm feeling tired. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So when you are not procrastinating, instead you're feeling like you're in a sort of state of flow, getting stuff done. Can you describe to me an instance of that, or what that might look like, or talk about that a bit?
It usually have to be a sense of urgency for me, or like it mostly may be related to my family or other um, I don't know people that I care about. But when it comes to just just about my problem, usually I don't get that sense of urgency unless there's a due date for it. Um, yeah, I already figured out what your question was.
Okay, you basically answered it, which is what prompts you to stop procrastinating.
Oh yeah, sense of urgency. Or if it's trying to do something for someone.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if it's gonna make you look bad because you committed to something, and if you don't follow through with it, you're more likely to follow through.
Yes, I would think so. Or I would want to do it right away for it to happen. If it's like get it over, or I just forgot about it, or just kind of like I can do it later. I
Oh,
mean, that's kind of the definition. Yeah.
okay. Can you break down the task of washing a car into exactly 5 steps?
Yeah. Grab all the accessory bucket, all the item, um, connect the hose, spray off all the dust, everything off the car. Use the pressure washer foam gun to put a bunch of foam on the car, let it loosen up the dirt. Then use a towel a sponge to kind of hand clean the car, then rinse it all off and dry it out.
That's
I
seven
don't know how many steps.
steps. That's seven.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Can you talk to me about your understanding of the word truth? Like, what do you think truth is?
Truth. I would think it's just fact. It just fact has to, I guess, make sense or that is not false. I don't know. It's just a correct answer. I guess correct.
Okay, so can you give me an example of something that's true?
Yes. Huh. I guess like gravity. I guess things just fall on the ground. Like
Things do just fall on the ground. It's true. Okay. Um, so, do you think that you're better at reading somebody else's feelings or at knowing and expressing your own feelings?
that's kind of, I never really thought about it that way, but I would think like knowing at someone's feeling because I'm good at putting myself into someone else's shoes, and I care about how other people feel more than I care about my own feeling.
Okay. Do you how much do you think consideration of regret avoidance contributes to your um, the kind of care you take? In other words, are you avoiding actions in part because you're concerned that later on you might regret taking the action you take?
Hmm. I guess maybe a little bit as I get older. But I would think I still act like I probably regret later, like not really think through it, regret in the beginning. Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't really affect
Can you
me too
think
much, I guess.
of any like choice examples of choices you've had to make where you had to spend some time musing about it one way or the other before you said, okay, I'm pulling the trigger, I'm making decision A instead of B?
Yes, it would be like, for example, if I decided to do I want to fix the car myself or give it to the shop to fix it. Yeah, I do think about the consequence or the value or the cost of it, or is it worth doing it myself? Kind of. I don't know if that's what
Okay,
you.
so do you
That,
think do you feel confident that you can fix it yourself?
yeah. Only yeah. If I've done it before, I watch a video that's instruction available to see the if it's how difficult it is. Yeah. Or
Okay.
the hassle.
What kind
Yeah.
of things do you fix and what kind of things don't you fix?
I mean, I do all the maintenance myself. Something that maybe balancing a tire or mounting a new tire I can't do because I need to take it to the shop and I would do that. But then like the other day was one of the heater hose just kind of broke, and then I was deciding if I want to leave the car in the parking lot or tow it home. So we end up towing the car home, and I was thinking like, oh, should I want to take it to the shop to fix it? So I did end up fixing it myself, and then I guess it wasn't fixed, so did end up taking it back to the shop again.
I see. Okay. So, what kind of, besides videos explaining how to do things, what kind of videos do you, or videos and or TV or movies do you like to watch?
um, some comedy, yeah, something that I don't use my brain. Just yeah, I guess something funny. Or some type of mystery movie that kind of like the I don't know if you've seen it. It was like an Inception. It was like a dream thing. I
Yeah.
kind of like that. Yeah, the other day I saw Loop. I think it's called Looper or something.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen that.
yeah. Turns out I like that kind of movie. I guess.
Yeah, we both share the same, like, we both like psychological thrillers or things that are involve psychology. Yeah.
Cool. Um, and what do you have any sort of creative outlets? Do you like to play music or write or anything like that?
Well,
He used to do
no,
magic.
well, this might mean. Well, I used to do magic. I guess yeah. I mean, I like to entertain people, and then it kind of like you have to be creative to come up with your own act. I guess yeah. I don't like to do it the way someone do it. I want to make it my own a little bit. Yeah, or customizing the car a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you were going to do some sort of creative performance. How much of that creativity would you want planned out ahead of time, so to speak? In other words, do you want to know exactly what you're going to be doing when you get there, or do you want to give yourself room to ad lib freestyle?
Uh, I was ideally, I always thought I would want to plan everything, scripted everything, planned it ahead, even for like a job interview, everything. But then usually when I start preparing it, and I got kind of like I don't follow through. I guess like I just kind of I guess part of my ADD a little bit, and I just end up be like, no, I would just deal with it, freestyling as it happens. So majority of the time, I now kind of end up doing that kind of thing. Yeah, even walking into an interview. Yeah.
Okay. So, uh, have you gone to many job interviews of late?
Uh, the last one would be like, oh yeah, that was a phone interview maybe like a year ago, and then before that was not a year ago. Yeah, not too many, but I was prepping Eliana a little bit to a lot of her interview,
Yeah.
and then it does annoy me a lot because she needs to be like, oh hey, if I don't go through this 100 question that she printed for me to interact with her, or she feel like she's not prepared. But I'm like, no, they're not gonna ask any of these questions. You just get, yeah,
Okay, so let's say I'm interviewing you.
yeah.
What's the special something that only you can bring that's going to benefit our company?
It would be my personality and my the way I can I don't know help you promote or sell your business. Yeah, I can convince people really easily. I would say.
Okay. Um, so, do you think you do that more by having an encyclopedic knowledge of the product or by schmoozing the person?
Probably knowledge of the item, and it'll be something that or how it applies to the individual person's needs. Because I feel like most of the people won't fact check you or Google it. They just have no idea what's going on. Like, yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, I've been told like when I walk to a car dealership, they just can't sell me a car because I feel like I know more than what the salesman know about the car. Yeah.
Hmm. So, do you think that if somebody were going to sell you on something, that
Yeah.
it would the methodology to sell you on something would be to inform you of benefits of that thing or virtues of it that you didn't heretofore know about?
Yeah, but then I would not make a decision on the moment. I would want to go back and kind of fact check it, and then also want to see if there's better, what's the best deal, best price available out there.
I see. Okay. Um, how many hours of sleep do you need to get a night in order to function properly?
Now these days, not too many. I feel like just a few hours, and I can pop some pill, and I'm good for the day. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, yes. Yes, we it is absolutely true that you don't need to get that many hours of sleep if you can take Adderall to compensate for
yeah.
it. But if you can't take Adderall to compensate for it, how many hours would you do you think is ideal for you to get?
As many as I can get. I would think maybe at 8, 10 hours. Because on the weekend, I feel like I need it, and then I try not to take Adderall on the weekend, except right now, to to be on this show. But yeah, I feel extremely tired on the weekend, so I guess maybe I need more sleep, or I don't know, if sleeping more making me more tired. I have no idea.
No, you need more sleep.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. That's how it works.
but
But the thing is, you're still young, so you can go for quite a while without experiencing a lot of significant impacts. When you're older, like when you get to be 50 years old, um, then it gets hard to sustain the up periods for more than a couple of
yeah,
days. You know.
I
Anyhow,
thought that's when. don't have to sleep when you get older. Don't people sleep less?
I mean, I don't feel like there's really been any change in the amount of sleep I need. I and and I get it no matter what, one or the other. It's like I'll go a couple weeks getting way too little, and then I'll go a solid week getting way too much to catch up. So it's just how it is for me with sleeping. But when you're going to sleep at night, as you get into bed, do you have any rituals that you do to help yourself fall asleep? For example, go uh, like I go like right as I get comfortable in bed.
I just try to get comfortable in bed, and mostly I just get on uh, with my back. I mean, my head facing upward, just my back laying with my back on the bed, and I just kind of close my eyes, try to shut off everything, like shut off all my thoughts. Before it was a little tough, but as I've been practicing for a few years, I'll be able to do that, and I guess I get really tired, and I just eventually fell asleep more like quicker now.
What do you think
Unless,
about when you're trying? What do you think about when you're lying in bed?
uh, everything, like all my worry, all my trouble, money, everything, life, other people.
Stressors.
Yeah,
Do
all
you,
the stress,
do you
all
have a
day,
lot
every
of
day.
dreams? Do you dream a lot?
Only if I take some type of supplement. Like I usually take the ZMA, I guess the same magnesium and whatever that C stands for. Yeah, if I take those, I get some crazy dreams, but I haven't been taking any of those. So yeah, usually I don't remember my dream much unless it's pretty crazy.
Okay. Um, Let me ask some TI questions. So, these are like deductive reasoning questions. Can you tell me if some coins are silver and some things that are silver are nickels? Is it necessarily the case that some nickels are coins?
No, it's not all nickels a coin. I mean, yeah,
Okay, you're right.
it would.
You're right.
It's not.
Okay, if only people from Iceland enjoy fried cheese sandwiches and I don't enjoy fried cheese sandwiches, am I necessarily not from Iceland?
You could be.
Okay,
Not. Yeah.
correct. Okay. If all Canadians have maple syrup and I am Canadian, do I necessarily have maple syrup?
Yes, because all
Yeah.
Canadian has maple
Okay.
syrup.
Now let me try a couple of genealogy problems. So, um, who is my mother's husband's sister's son in relation to me?
This is cousin.
Yeah. And who is my father's father's wife's only son's sister's mother in relation to me?
My mom.
Yeah. Okay. Some good genealogy. Uh, all right. Have you ever heard the hats question?
No. Yeah, no.
Okay. So there's a warden in a prison, okay? And he pulls three prisoners out of their cells and he says, I'm going to play an exciting game with you. Inside this bag, I have 5 hats. 3 of the hats are red and 2 of the hats are white. And then he blindfolds each of the prisoners and he has each of them pull out a hat randomly from the bag and put it on their head. They are little hats, so you can't see your own hat when you're wearing it at all, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He then takes the blindfold off the first prisoner and he says, if you can tell me what color hat you have on, I will let you go free. But if you guess wrong, I will kill you on the spot. Or you can decline to answer and nothing changes. So he says, first prisoner, can you, by looking at the other 2 guys' hats, tell me what color your hat is? And the guy says, no, I cannot. And the warden says, fine. And so then he unblindfolds the second guy. He says, second guy, can you, by looking at the other two guys' hats, tell me what color hat you have on? And the second guy looks and he goes, no, I cannot. So the warden says, fine. And he goes to unblindfold guy number 3, but guy number 3 says, you don't even need to take off my blindfold, warden. I know my hat color. And he tells the warden, and then the warden sets him free. What color was his hat, and how did he know?
His hair's probably red. He knows it because I think you said there's only three white hats. No, I think you said
3 red hats, 2 white.
Oh, two white. Yeah, because if, the first two people they took out the blindfold, they saw 2 white hats out there, then they would automatically know that he's wearing the red. But since no one say that, then I would think that means he's wearing a very high chance that he's wearing a red one, the one that was blindfold.
Okay. Yeah. So the complete answer is the first guy. If he had seen 2 white hats, he would have known his own hat was red. So he didn't see 2. The second guy knows the first guy didn't see the second and third guy both with white hats. So if the second guy sees a white hat on the third guy, he knows his own hat is red. But he doesn't see that, which means the third guy realizes he must have a red hat on.
Okay, yeah, I didn't thought about the reaction of the second guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the troll question?
No.
All right. This is a story question where you're going to take on the role of the mayor/lord of this medieval town. And there's a scenario I'm going to present you to try to solve because your community is in trouble, okay? So, you are the mayor of a Middle Ages town. It is split in 2 by a river. On the left side of the river, you've got your farms, your foodstuffs, silos, livestock, etc. On the right side of the river, you've got your townspeople, merchants, and so forth. And there used to be a bridge, but it washed out in a storm right before the winter snows. And you're not going to be able to rebuild it until spring. After it washed away, a river troll came to live in your river, and river trolls have a magical power. Anytime food crosses the river in a boat, they can run up to that boat and take 10% of the food away and run away before anybody on the boat can even see them, and there's no way they can stop them. Even if they lock a crust of bread in a box, if they cross the river on the boat with it, the troll will run up and take 10% of that crust of bread. If they cross with a whole dead cow, he'll run up and take 10% of the dead cow. So anyway, the problem is you only have enough food saved up for the whole winter so that nobody starves barely. If the troll keeps taking 10% of all your foods, then you're going to lose some of your population before the end of the winter to starvation, malnutrition, and whatnot. So what do you want to do? Can you solve this problem?
Yeah, I mean, I just instead of bringing the food over there, I just bring the people from that side to that side. Can I do that?
Yeah, that's just very, very good. That's very impressive. The thing that's funny is, when I ask these kind of questions to so many different people, now that I've asked them to so many different people, I have a much clearer sense of like where an answer lands on the spectrum. So very, very few people get that answer right away, and most people don't ever get anything like that answer, even though it's the most intuitive solution. But most people are successfully frame-walked as they speak. The way the question is set up, it's set up to imply that, without actually saying so, that the existing status quo of food crossing the river on the boat is unchanging, and that the action has to be taken to change the status quo by directing your attention towards the troll. So instead of being fooled by that frame walk, you intuited around it the actual solution, and that's representative of stuff about cognitive functions. So now you're an interesting case because of this this fixing stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yet, at the same time, you call yourself a procrastinator. Did you fix stuff before you started taking Adderall?
Like fixing stuff, I don't take Adderall. I just fix it. I only take Adderall so I don't get fired at work.
What is it that it enables you to do at work that otherwise you'd be lazy about?
Well, I just can't focus a lot, and then when I go to work, because I work in the office and I kind of stare in the computer all day, I just kind of have to work, and so I want to get stuff done. So that's the only way. I've tried it without taking it. It didn't work too well for me. Yeah, also keep me awake.
What happens when you don't take it? Do you play around on Wikipedia or what?
Maybe on my phone or think about something else. Just thinking about something like about other people or other trouble in life. Yeah. Or what instantaneous if my girlfriend texted me or needed me help for her interview or something, just getting trouble at work or whatever it is, and I'll just think about, how can I help her with that? And then for some reason I get edible when I do that. Yeah.
For some reason, you what?
I would not need to take Adderall to focus on helping her.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, would you get in trouble for work for?
I would not think so, but I mean, it just kind of maybe if I don't get stuff done during the when it happens.
No, I mean, what did she get in trouble for work? What did she get in trouble for?
Trouble for anything.
Well, she's like, oh hey, I offended my boss, or like, oh hey, I did this.
I think I did.
Yeah, it's just all day, every day.
I think that's the any blind spot. Like I start like.
You start worrying about possibilities like that. Okay.
Yeah, she need me to solve her problem, but then she also just like the tiger mom that you're talking to. She never take my advice. She still has to ask the whole village.
Yeah.
And then my answer was here 4 times. You don't believe me.
Okay.
Why asking me?
Okay, so so you use tools and stuff like power tools and things.
Yeah. Whatever I have, yeah.
And you don't hurt yourself.
From the power tool, not really. No, I don't use that much power tool. Like if I use a wrench, I just possible I use whatever the mechanical one, but then something quicker, faster. Then I put a battery on, then I can use I guess the power tool.
Okay.
Usually I hurt myself is when I don't have the right tool, and then I'm just trying to get it done. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's when I feel like an idiot. Is when it's like I'm trying to like get the Phillips head screw out with a flathead screwdriver that doesn't quite fit because I don't want to go back and get the other one. You know.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
because I'm
this hard, fuck you thing. Okay. You are a conundrum wrapped up in a ball of enigma wax. So, let me see here. You seem to be testing consistently in one way about most things, but there's a couple of jarring inconsistencies with what I would normally expect. So early on, you self-identified as somebody who procrastinates. What things do you like? I guess you don't procrastinate when she calls you, but that's
Yeah.
one circumstance. But
Well, here's the thing. I feel like I have the power, but it would take all these energy drain out of me to not like be late or to not to do that. Like I don't know. I just feel like if I'm naturally in my natural state, I would just tend to not get things done, or I'm just ADD hit me.
So
Yeah,
if
I
you're
feel
not
like
getting things done, what are you doing instead of getting things done?
anything that is not related to getting things done, I guess, it's usually just, I don't know, sit there doing nothing. Or thinking about, I don't know, just relaxing, I guess. Like when I was waiting to pick her up earlier, I knew like maybe I should ask her like, oh, hey, it's about time. It's going to start at 2 o'clock or something. Are you ready? I just like, yeah, I don't feel like texting her. Yeah.
Okay. How long have you two been dating?
Like 6, a little, I think over 6 years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah, over 6, yeah.
I mean, how old were you when you first started dating?
Shit. I don't know. I think I'm 32 right now, so I don't know, like maybe 25. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, that's shocking. I guess because it must be the braces make you look younger than yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
25 now.
Okay. Well, that's crazy. Most people don't end up in a lasting relationship starting that young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what things do you read about?
Cryptocurrency.
What are you talking about? He's asking me.
What did she say though?
Cryptocurrency. He like watches YouTube.
She's saying Bitcoin.
Every Bitcoin, whatever. Oh my gosh, it's like insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so,
Well,
what's your reasoning why? Some people argue. I disagree with these people, but some people argue that crypto is ultimately just a big pyramid scheme that's going to collapse in on itself eventually.
Yeah,
What's your reason for arguing that it has value despite its lack of concrete existence?
well, I mean, it's been around for a while. I think it's been a decade. It's been around, and that's. I mean, a lot of different currency pops out, but like that one is still here. And also, like there's wire adoption from all these. I guess even country like El Salvador, they ditch their currency, so they can adopt Bitcoin. And also, I was saying it's just the supply and demand. Like everyone is saying gold, buy gold, silver, those kind of things, but we don't know the exact quantity of gold existing on this earth because we still mining it. But like we know Bitcoin that you cannot mine. Oh, I mean you can still mine some, but there's only certain amount fixed that you can. So eventually, people is going to lose the Bitcoin, the key, whatever you call it, the code to access to the Bitcoin. So it's going to get less and less. People are actually going to try to buy all of that. Yeah, and I just there's a better potential, and also U.S. currency and all the currency are deflating. So it's worth less and less, and then when it's worth less, people try to buy other assets that holds value. So they probably would jump to gold or Bitcoin, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
What do you think about NFTs?
Yeah, I think it's kind of stupid, but I don't know too much about it. But all I know is like, hey, people are producing. It's just like art. People just keep producing. It's just whatever other person think there's value at a certain point. So people just paying money, but that just go up and down. I guess just art. I feel like it can be recreated, but
Okay.
I just don't think it's worth not like Bitcoin.
Okay.
But it's pretty, yeah.
All right. Let me ask you.
But I never get to answer the question since she said cryptocurrency. But mostly I look up and read about stuff that can benefit me, or like maybe how to do something, or how to get me rich, or how to help me solve something. Like, because to me, it's like I feel like going to university. I do have a degree in civil engineering. I went to school, but I feel like I did not learn from the professor. I learned from on my own, maybe reading the books at my own pace. I did not take Adderall when I was in school, but if I did, I would be, I don't know, really successful right now or genius or something. I feel like I blame my parents or something. I don't know.
You blame your parents for not
Yeah.
giving you amphetamines early enough.
Yeah, but I feel like, yeah, I like to think knowledge at my own pace or to learn it on my own. I feel like if I'm reading books or something, that's what I want. It has to be valuable to me. I just sometimes feel like reading a book about or putting a puzzle together. I feel like it's a waste of time. Like a while back, she just did a puzzle, like I don't know, 1,000 pieces. I did end up helping, but I just feel like, hey, why if you waste like 5 days or a week on it? You could be doing something valuable or making money or something for that or learning something about it. To me, it just didn't make sense to me. That's that type of hobby or do anything.
I think my tool function is his blind spot, and I think it's the other way around.
I just have limited amount of time on this earth.
The purpose of me wanting to put together the periodic table elements is because that's something really important to me. And like, I don't really like puzzles that much, but I just wanted to showcase it. SE parent.
To me, but yeah, I like doing that. Yeah, and yeah, a limited amount of time, and plus I already wasted most of the time when I don't take Adderall. So.
Okay, all right. So, can you tell me how you're feeling emotionally right now?
I'm not relaxing. I guess a little annoying. And, yeah, and it's just like, and it's like a weekend, you know, like just like I mean, not like I don't want to be on this thing, but but she kind of just like scheduled it for me at the same time.
That's fine. So
yeah.
what?
I do. I'm interested, but feeling. I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling. You just.
What do you think about cognitive functions in general?
Like what was it, like a personality?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's personality. It's what I'm testing for.
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is just yeah, I feel like it is important, and then I did not believe in it first, but she kind of feed me this type of information all day, every day.
Yeah,
she's your number one fan. She's on the line, whatever. Instead of talking to me when we come home, she's just like watching the video. You get a great laugh from it, though. She's also concerned when you're like lighting up light. So it's how it's gonna sound on fire or something. But I feel like it is very important because it kind of showed me, because I after learning about her personality and then mine a little bit, it's just like, oh hey, it does make sense of how she acts and all of that. Because to me, I recently found out like, oh, she has logic too, but it's just not the same as my logic. So that makes sense. How many times when I feel like oh, people, I feel like it is important for this society to have people like this. So that's how salesmen or other people success in their business or scam on people or sell them stuff. Because I feel like some people just like believe in stuff like very easily or very being convinced, but I'm definitely not one of those. So I feel like I'll be on the salesman side. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not consumer.
Okay. So, do you feel like, since she's been talking about these things, that did you used to, or have you, or do you still maybe say things like, the problem here is you're not being logical enough, you're using your emotions too much to make a decision?
I'm more likely to say that now, because now I got concrete proof that
No, you're using it wrong. You're totally doing it backwards.
Yeah. In fact, I need Eric to be telling me,
I am
like, hey,
not supposed to give you ammunition
from now on.
Oh, good.
Because I just don't get it why someone would ask, or her would ask me, solve herself, but she would never take it in the first time. She would have to go around the whole village to get confirmation and come back, be like, hey, someone else just told me to do it this way. And I'm like, that's exactly what I told you in the first place. But I don't get the credit at all.
People don't. Sometimes people just don't
Yeah.
listen. So, okay. Well, how do you think I'm feeling emotionally right now?
I feel like you're always in heaven a little bit, except that one time when she showed me the video, you showcasing of another asshole, I guess, that you were really angry about that guy, about, I don't know, like, what was that, the narcissist?
The right message, because I was trying to get his input regarding, like, I don't understand your point. So I was like, maybe he will understand it. Like, I wanted to understand what you were trying to, what your point was. Yeah.
My point is that insisting that the disagreements be resolved is something that
Uh-huh.
he sees as correlating strongly to narcissism. In other words,
Okay.
that it's black and white thinking, right? Like, no,
Yeah.
I want this thing to be framed as one person is right and one person is wrong. Now, that's just my way of being. But everything he says suggests to everybody that my way of being is the same thing basically as narcissism. But in reality, it's only narcissistic if a narcissist does it, right? So it's like if if
Yeah.
if I'm in genuine disagreement and I say, well, I think we should use my frame of reference in this context, and then we can have a conversation, and the other person can say, no, I think we should use my frame of reference. So certain circumstances, it's like I'm just establishing a personal boundary here. I don't need to justify it. Like if I don't like the way that what you're doing makes me feel, I don't need to justify it beyond that, provided that you're doing something besides just leaving me alone or something. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that doesn't need to be justified. Whereas other kind of things need to be justified. Like, well, I think that you owe me an apology because myah. It
Uh-huh.
suggests that there should be agreement about the wrongness of a given person's action in a way that you made me feel bad doesn't. So, in other words, I that what you're doing makes me feel bad is not blaming the person for doing something wrong necessarily. It's just saying
Mhm.
I don't, even though what you're doing is technically legitimate, I don't like it, and I would appreciate it if you'd stop. So
Mhm.
the key thing is there are some instances when we should accept that that's fine. That's a good reason to decide something one way or another. And there are some
Mhm.
circumstances in which we should use the other way, which is, no, this isn't about. Well, it's just my personal boundary that you have to vote this way, for example. It wouldn't work.
Mhm.
Or it's just my personal boundary that you can't look at me when I say I want privacy now and I'm out in public. So it's like, you know, a lot of people would say it's my personal boundary. I don't want you to film me in public, but then they go into stores that are filming them continuously, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
and
No.
so in that instance, you'd have a conflict between people who want to have their personal boundaries respected. If I were to go up and film somebody without permission in public, technically it's nothing wrong with that. But
Right.
but if that's one of those sort of boundary areas, like an F calculus will say care about what that other person wants, regardless of whether you're technically right. A T calculus will say no. I need to compel this person to be filmed by me so they understand and respect the rule that they don't have this expectation of privacy in public.
Hmm.
So, it's like finding a time when recognizing that both kinds of calculi have a place is important. And if you're going to be shitting on one type of calculi all the time while talking about narcissists, people are going to say anybody who's doing that is narcissistic.
Right. Right. And that might not always be the case. Yeah. Yeah. That's why, like, I did watch this, like, 7 signs that your family or whatever might be a narcissist. And I feel like you need to be kind of careful about that because then people assume, oh, my family is a narcissist. You know, like, it's not always that way. That's why I feel like with those 7 signs you're this, it's a little too, like, then, yeah, you're becoming kind of black and white.
And he
But
needs
yeah,
to
I'm
give
missing your
some
point.
specific examples, right? So that it's clear
Yeah.
as to
Yeah.
what level of this behavior and in which context represents simply somebody trying to control you versus
Right.
a legitimate attempt to have your frame count as well. So just because my
Yeah.
frame's not subjective doesn't mean I don't have an equal subjective claim to using my frame. So
Mm.
it's like some of the time, the if we disagree about how we should deal with things, not necessarily about a specific thing that we're dealing with, then some of the time, how should be my way, at least. And some of the time, how should be your way. And neither of those basic hows, assuming that they're ways of being rather than ways of expressing unhealthiness, should be considered wrong, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah.
Okay, so I think you're an ENTP, is what I think. But I was originally thinking for quite some time that you were possibly an INTP, but but I think based on your dewiness that you're an ENTP. It's a little bit tricky for me to distinguish between the two because I don't have a good SE polar test and I don't have a good FI polar test.
Yeah, that's what's really hard because we were suspecting, or at least, we got that verification before, and I just feel like wouldn't his blind spot be SE? Because like, if I'm getting this incorrect, if he had SE blind spot, then would he be missing like things in front of him that are just so obvious? Like for me, you type me as an ISFP, and I truly believe that is the case. Just going through life. And that would be, I see my tool function. So I'm like, duh, this is right there in front of your face. Like, do you not see it? And he's just like, huh? Like, he's just so oblivious to the fact that, like, something like this is...
Yeah, I see everything.
Not all the time. I
Go ahead.
You just...
Yeah. But, yeah, I did suspect ENTP at one point after kind of just evaluating INTP. But yeah, I wasn't too sure.
Wait, so
definitely, like TI is like definitely.
What did that lady say I am?
INTP, yeah. So we basically did a session with Amy, and she was not sure of. She said she was leaning more towards INTP or ISTJ. Yeah.
Okay, so I was leaning ISTJ at first as well, but the bottom line is he displayed way too much expert intuition once I just sort of let him roll. And the other thing is, like a lot of ENTPs, he's cautious at first in his answers, and he's exercising what you call absolute value NI and being more concise than he naturally is. But then, as the session moves on, he starts. You gave me a lot of reasons about Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
You know, you gave me a lot of them, and each of them was distinct. You didn't repeat a kind of reason with just a variation in it. You gave me a bunch of distinct kinds of reasons. So, I mean, it's too much expert intuition for an ISTJ. You definitely got to be an NTP, even though you're a little bit more practical minded in the topics that you talk about than a lot of NTPs would be. When I actually get into the nitty gritty of it, it turns out that how you're engaging with the things you're engaging with is very much ideationally robust, in the sense that when I ask you a question like why cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or whatever, you've thought about it at great length, and that means exploring all the possible ways to think about it. You've selected the ones that validate, and you're able to present them to me bam 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 in a more NI fashion than INTPs usually would. So, I mean, the thing is, when you talk about solving our problems and stuff, that also sounds. At first, I thought it sounded like possibly demonstrative NI. That you give her a single solution, she doesn't listen to you, and until she hears it from somebody else, then she applies it. But I think it's actually demonstrative TE, filtered through NE. So you're telling her, this is how you should approach this, or not necessarily the ordinals of it, but that you need to approach it from a TE kind of perspective, namely cause, effect, impact, like ordinal logics, even if you don't ordinate them. And then, she's looking for more NI, and so she's searching around for a singular answer that is less utility based. So I'm going to type you as ENTP with the caveat that you might be an INTP, and the addition of Adderall may be partially responsible for ENTP esque like displays. So
That's what I was thinking. Would the Adderall make it different? And also, since my background is engineering, like the way we get taught in school, the way we solve problems, I feel like it does affect the way I solve everyday problem or other people's problem in a
well,
way.
yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that you apply whatever problem solving frame of reference is implicit to the thing you studied to lots of things. And you're probably very able to generalize different kinds of frames of reference and apply them in different ways to new problems. So it's like you probably use some mix of like analogy and
Hmm.
and uh, and mechanical equivalents basically to
Yeah.
to shift frames from one point of analysis to other points of analysis and meaningfully garner related ways of linking the two sets of analyses together.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I feel like when someone, if I'm able to solve a problem, and then doesn't matter how it being addressed or manipulated in a way, I can still see through all the everything on the outside. I can see through all that and deepen the foundation. I feel like I can use the same logic or same way to solve a lot of things.
And of course, in that regard, you're equivalent to me, as I'm here preaching this notion that this particular metaframe allows us to communicate meaningfully about ourselves and others without being reductive, and therefore, whatever problem it is you're talking about, it can this frame of reference can be informative about it. You're
Hmm.
saying a similar thing about your your sort of problem solving frame, which makes sense because it's like a machine code level mechanics that you're operating from to begin with. So it's appropriate for a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yeah, but once I see other people like I don't want to say her the Western side, but like I feel like she asked me a lot of the same type of question where I feel like I already explained that to you before. It's just like slightly changed the person change or the color change is the same. It's the same thing
Yeah, but
to me.
very
Yeah.
very few people generalize out. It's like what you're expecting her to do is to infer the rule that generalizes out from the instance, and then have that cascade down to comparable instances. And most people don't. It's like that's what ENTPs do it automatically all the time, and most people don't do it very much or at all. And so it's like we're always caught like assuming things, right? We're always caught
Yeah.
assuming other people understand certain things that we've said in certain contexts, and not missing the point that they don't have the foundational knowledge to interpret what we're saying in the way we mean it.
Yeah. It's a brand new problem for other people. I think that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Interesting. Yeah. So then, assuming that he is an ENTP, then his blind spot would be introverted feeling,
Right.
which is my leading function.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he would that like if that played out, would that be like, oh my gosh, he's like getting lost in like how he feels about like how he values things? And I feel like I constantly tell him like, oh, I feel like you don't value these things. You know, these things are so important. You know, but like at the same
Sounds
time,
important.
he puts himself into people's shoes. Like I guess, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out FE versus FI.
Look,
Like,
the thing about ISFPs and ENTPs and why you guys are still together instead of split up immediately if you'd been an INTP is that we have the same absolute values, N's and F's. So even though he's always logical in his operational value, it doesn't actually matter to him. At the end of the day, he cares more about you than he does about being right, and
yeah.
and he cares more about how other people perceive him than he does about being right, and he cares more about the originality of a thing, its creative the extent to which novelty links to its shininess more than he cares about proven history of reliability, although he included that in his list of reasons.
Yeah.
And he cares more about whether something is relevant enough to be determinate or true than about how he can use those truths for other purposes.
Interesting. Yeah.
But what you'll see
Yeah.
in his affect is a lot of TI and TE, which is what we see. You know, is like he's very logical. Obviously, he killed it with both the intuition aspect of things
Yeah.
and the thinking aspect of things. And he was kind of sloppy on the TE, 7 steps. It's like, well, 5 steps, 7 steps, whatever. But they were definitely ordinated, logical, like TE logical steps. That is the order of
Yeah.
operations, and he did include all the necessary things. Unlike, like, if you were actually an SI dom, who were, let's say, TE polar, you might begin by saying, well, first you'd need to know where your car is, and then you'd need to know what kind of water where you're gonna get water from, and then you need to know whether you have a sponge or not, and then you need to know. Wait, that's not instructions on how to wash the car. That's what I need to know, party.
Do you think justify a little bit, because that is like the washing car. I used to wash car a lot when I first got the car, and I was very professional about it, like 2 bucket system with all the chemical, like cleaning it and waxing. So to me in my mind, I was thinking, oh, the correct way is like 1,000,000 steps. It takes almost half a day to do it. So when you just asked me, I was just like, oh, I need to simplify that a little bit. So I didn't have enough time to choose the right steps for it.
And that's another quality of the ENTPs is one day we say, I'm going to wash the car. It takes us a while to figure out. Washing the car takes a long time, is a big pain in the ass, and probably isn't worth the effort I'm putting into it. Because it's very quick and easy for us to understand this idea, I'm going to wash the car. And we picture it in our head. I just go out there and I just squirt it and it'll be done pretty quick and it'll be over. And then things always take longer and are more challenging than we expect them to be. We expect everything to be easy without any good cause except for the fact that it's easy for us to think about.
Is that me?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's exactly how it is. Even when I was fixing the car, and if you got so pissed off, it told me I didn't know it took that long to get the air out of the radiator.
Are you eating something?
I didn't know you gotta wrap the car up to 3,000 RPM to start to get it heat up. Yeah, so I was got all pissed off, trying to rush to finish it, and it's like, nope, I need to go back to the store to grab more fluid.
Yeah. It's like around an hour, probably 1,000 hours.
It looks easy, you know.
Well, it's like the time that I decided I'm not going to hire carpet cleaners to clean the carpet. I'm going to rent one of those machines from the grocery store. And it wasn't a particularly effective machine at all. It was like the one I got was kind of half busted. And anyway, and I struggled and pushed and pulled and bam, 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 bam. Eventually, I ran out of time. I had to return the machine. I ended up calling the carpet cleaners. And it's like they were here in an hour and they got it from filthy to spotless. And it was just like, why did I even bother doing this? Why am I spending this much time and energy to save, $100 or something? It's not worth it. Especially with the frustration where you realize, oh, the machine I got isn't really working properly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to go back to the store. It's like, in my mind, this was straightforward. I just hop along Cassidy, go down there, grab a machine, come back, quickly mute the carpets, and I'm done. And we're good to go. And once again, Eric's proven you don't need to hire people to do things. You can do it yourself. And once again, Eric ends up both failing to do it himself and hiring somebody to do it.
I agree. I mean, but I feel like with her personality, she was kind of like that. She was like almost like a dude. Was like, for the 3 second or whatever. She was like, I didn't get it done, and I feel like in the process she may break a bunch of stuff. Or like at the end, it's like, I have to go back there and clean it up.
Well, she's got forethought TE. But yeah, it does make sense that ISFP and ENTP would end up together and stick it out for quite some time, because for some reason ISFPs like us, ENTPs, and we like being liked. And so it's like, really, you like me? And then we end up together, and then if it doesn't, there's nothing to break it apart, it sticks together for indefinitely, potentially. Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's how it happens. That's probably how it happened with you. Is you had to convey to him that you liked him at some point, or I don't know. He's older, so maybe not. But it's weird when I was dating. I kept dating like on dating apps, ISFPs, but I didn't stick with any. They didn't stick for me. But yeah, there's some sort of weird mutual attraction there. I think it's because the ends and Fs are the same values.
Yeah.
Well, I would think it's more like I have to solve everything. I feel like I don't give up on things easily. So I feel like each time when something happens, it's just me trying to solve it or force it to be resolved, I guess.
Yeah, but in exchange, you get to be loved.
Yeah. If I choose like choose the do nothing option, I'll just give up. I feel like it would be over a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, ultimately, we don't understand particularly our own self, except through, like, I understand my own worth by where and how I'm useful to other people, where and how other people like me, think I'm funny, have a positive response to me or whatever, and also then where and how I'm taking care of my body, which is to say when I'm finally sitting down and eating after I should have eaten a long time ago, when I'm finally taking a bath after I've skipped a couple of days, and then in those moments it's like, okay, that's the other self that exists, is the SI self, the animal self that's going, okay, I'm getting into the rah of food, sleep, or whatever in a way that's comfortable. I'm getting cozy and comfortable, but that's a minority of the time for us. But that's the only real linkage that we have to a clearly defined sense of our own worth or importance, is the importance of remaining comfortable. So
Yeah.
so it's nice then to be with somebody who is F above T for us, because they bring that gushy realness.
Yeah. Even though he may, I will admit though, being an S, I tend to feel like sometimes he thinks that like me putting my values and everything against what may be right, or I guess like prioritizing. He sees like as kind of selfish, like the stereotypical FI would be selfish. Like I tend to put certain things in priority at that moment. He's like, why don't you put me priority? I'm like, because this is what like for me, it's not. This is not. I value him, but right now I value something important, like other important. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, sometimes it can come off as a little.
I'm not important.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Are you saying that you're the one saying to her, I was hoping we could spend some time together, and not the other way around?
Well, no, I just like sometimes I would more be like, oh, do you think about me at all? Because I feel like I put myself in everyone's shoes, but no one put themselves in my shoes, and I just feel like she just get lost with everyday thing, like, oh, maybe all of a sudden something about work or something about it's her family or something about, I don't know, a cat or something. That is more priority for her.
In the moment,
Yeah.
though, in the moment. Like, it's not that I...
Oh, watching Eric on YouTube, that's the priority. Yeah.
Anyway, when I'm at work, for example, I do think about him. If I'm at the store, I think about him. But it's not in the context where, like, I'm always putting myself in his shoes. Like,
do you think about her all the time?
Yeah, I think about her all the time. I only think about other people. That's the weird part. And then, somehow, like, I was told that I don't have any feeling or whatever. I'm not sensitive. I just don't get it. But
okay, well,
the way I act,
this is what you're saying right now. You're saying that you're mad because you're always paying attention to what other people want, and you're mad because not because you don't pay attention to what you want, but because they don't pay attention to what you want.
Yeah, now it sounds like that guy that was on YouTube. that he was getting mad at that guy.
Oh. So is that FI blind spot or
Yeah,
what?
that's FI blind spot.
Okay.
He, instead of being mad at himself for not paying attention to his own feelings and prioritizing them, he's mad at other people for not prioritizing his feelings because he's
like,
too
what?
busy prioritizing theirs to prioritize his own. It's insane.
That's too much. That's too much stress.
That's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in other words, it's hard for us to know what we want, and sometimes we can try to delegate that onto somebody else. But ultimately, we have to know what we want and express it rather than expect other people to behave as we would behave if we were them.
Wow, that was definitely an
So am I a weird specimen in this earth? There's only like 10 of us left on here.
We are very uncommon. ENTPs are very uncommon. The world doesn't need very many of us.
That's funny. Yeah. Wow. What an eye opener. Yeah. FI blind spot. Yeah.
So eventually we no more ENTP and ENTP? Distinct.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is really valid. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop recording now. Are you okay with me publishing this?
If it's Spanish.
Yeah, it'll benefit
you
for
guys-
sure. I think it'll be somewhat controversial.
Okay.
I think it'll be a fun and interesting one because I suspect that there's going to be some pushback. Like the last couple of them I've done that I published, like last guy with ESTP, and I think pretty much everybody by the end of it, there wasn't really any pushback. Like everybody was in agreement. The guy before that, ISTJ, I think everybody's been in agreement.
Yeah.
Of course, it's easy to get people to agree when you're typing somebody not a sexy type, because then all the intuitives go, yes, that's one of those ordinary sensors over there. And if you do type somebody as a sexy type, like an ENTP or something, there's a lot more no for just reflexively from everybody. So, but also you belie some of the stereotypes of ENTPs in a couple of ways, like you're well, at least it sounded like you did until I really sort of picked it apart. Your kind of fixing things is like my kind of fixing things. That's not ISTJ way of fixing things. That's ENTP way of fixing things. It requires scare quotes around it. What are you doing, Eric?
Yeah.
I'm fixing something. Are you really fixing the thing, Eric, or are you making it worse? Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
All right.
Well,
So,
then can it change though? Like as I guess as we experience more in life, as I maybe try to fix my weakness or try to improve, would it change my personality?
no, you can learn things certainly, but it doesn't change your personality. So, in other words, you'll always reflexively have more ideas of things you might play with, tinker with, fix, do, make, whatever, than you have time in the day to do those things. And that basically will necessarily mean that you're going to underestimate the amount of time it takes to do things. And you're going to have some like half-assed started things that you abandon. And that when you're forced to sit in one place and pay attention for a long time, you won't be able to do so without speed. When I worked in an office, I had to be on Adderall too. I just couldn't. It was impossible to sit there and stay focused on this boring shit, knowing that it's what I'm supposed to do, which makes me want to do it even less.
Mm-hmm.
And unless I was thoroughly thwacked out.
That is so true. I mean, I feel like if I take Adderall and then talk to her, I'll be able to focus on her a lot. And yeah, by the way, if I don't take it, I really cannot focus on the way she tells her story. It just like doesn't make any sense to me. All over the places, and yeah, it's annoying me a lot.
You probably want her to be trying to move from point A to point B in terms of argumentation on the flow, so to speak. Like, and she's instead sort of throwing out observation from over here, and not linking them in a way that makes you understand what she's trying to do argumentationally. She's not trying to do anything argumentationally. She's just sharing interesting observations that she liked.
Also, I feel like she thought that she kind of worried I don't understand. She needed to like break it down to the T, like as simplified as possible. But I'm like, I am smart. I understand what you say. You know, like explain everything down to everything.
No, she's waiting for you to emotionally engage with it. So she's repeating it to give you another chance to do so. Because instead of emotionally engaging with it in some ways, saying like, oh, I'm so glad you found that so interesting and are sharing it with me, because that's just one of the ways that you and I can bond. You're saying, and what's your point? What are you telling me this for? What are you trying to get at? Come on now. I'm so lovable. So this is why cognitive functions are good, because, and this is how you can grow and how I can grow, our type especially. We need a correct map if we're going to grow. And part of the reason why ENTPs just sort of like get wherever they are and just kind of like spin around is because we assume fairly early on there is no absolute correct map. It's just I can apply any map to anything and they're all equally valid. But the reality is the central question that needs to be answered that we weren't really aware was the mapping question that we needed answered is, why am I like this and someone else is like that, and why is it that like how can that be in a way that makes that actually works to allow us to reduce people into groups? That's what humanity's never been able to do, right? Is we've never been able to say, you're designated to this role because you're in this group. It's always been ontologically violent. It's been because you're this race, or because you're this gender, or because you're this age, or because you're this whatever status, aristocrat, whatever, serf. But in reality, if we're trying to, when we try to say you are this because you're that, it's always bad, except for personality type with cognitive functions, because it's the only thing that's accurately saying you have X strength at the cost of X weakness necessarily because of the relational necessity of the two things and their exclusivity with each other. So in other words, because you use a disinterested calculus all the time, a TI calculus, a logical calculus to figure things out, you are necessarily blind to the richness of life that is FI in a way that is so blind that we don't even recognize what we're missing. And that's how everybody is with their blind spot. And so it's like it's blessed that we don't get that, because we're missing something that's just as hugely important as being logical and is the other end of that kind of deliberation, but we're so blind to it that we just think it's basically, well, we're thinking correctly, and then there's stupid people. That's how we tend to think of it. It's not like that. Instead, it's like, we're idiots on this side. This is us over here, and us over here, and this is them, right? So, but because of the nature of a blind spot, it's very difficult, especially for us, because FI is not a communicative thing so much as TI is at all. Like TI is about the logic of language and communication. So all the stuff that we're parsing is data that's out there that we can look at, think about, whatever. With FI, it's like FI is a calculation function that when I'm using it anyway, it takes forever. It's really slow. So an example would be, why, like, I'm feeling guilty because I'm not spending enough time with my father. Should I feel guilty? Or am I actually just sort of projecting my frame of reference on him? He doesn't really seem to want to spend that much time with me. Maybe this is just me, you know? It's like, so I have to sit down and think, okay, what is this feeling all about? And there's no logic to it, right? It's like, there may be, ultimately you come up with a reason that sort of settles in and goes, yeah, that does kind of explain it. But there's not any logic to it. I have to decide, I've got multiple priorities. I have to decide what's more important. And one of the consequences of prioritizing playing around out here, smoking bowls and watching videos or whatever, is that that period of time is not spent, that it could potentially be spent with my father. Am I going to regret that later? I didn't have that chance to spend time with him when I had the opportunity. those are FI questions that, if you want to know, like, what's important to do, and why you're doing what you're doing, and what you're not going to regret later, then you need to have good skills in that, right? But you and I not only don't have any good skills in it, but until we learn about it in this fashion, we're pretty sure it doesn't exist.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Because that's how my logic works. I exactly felt the same way, like spending more time with my parents or something like that. And I end up just feeling like, oh, it's just the right thing to do. Just spend more time with family. Then I chose that as a priority, and I just kind of stick with it. I don't really have a really good logic for that. Yeah.
Right, it's an FI thing. So we're kind of like babies with those things that are FI logics, and complicated FI questions, which is to say, people having to make choices about that involve compromise, getting some of what they want and not others in exchange for not getting others. That's the challenge for us. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording right now. Okay, did you say? Yeah. Did I ask already? And did you say whether you're cool with me publishing it?
Yeah. What was it? Like, if you're cool to record it or post it? Yeah, you can post it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.